Good evening, traders. Today is May 8th. It is 8:22 Eastern Time, and we're looking at a daily chart, and we're going to be doing a daily review of the NASDAQ. And things have definitely turned bullish. And the reason why I say that is for a period there, we were making higher lows, obviously higher highs, and then we finally had a market structure shift. And when I say a market structure shift, we finally made a lower low. And if you notice, we have pulled right into this shelf on the daily. And we've had another pullback into this point of release. We came back down, tested it, and right now we are at this kind of an area of resistance. But the way things look right now, we could easily want to take another run at these highs. As you can see, this came a little bit deeper, higher, and took out the high of this. And so, you know, if you're looking at this from a more of a trend standpoint or a swing standpoint, I mean, things are definitely bullish. Now, I'm going to be focusing more on the intraday trading, and you know, even though we're bullish, and as we'll see in a market like we saw today, I mean, there is plenty of opportunity on the short side. Monday and Tuesday, we didn't have a whole lot of range. Today, we had plenty of it. And if we go to a, let's head down to a 1-hour chart. And coming into today, we reached for some liquidity right into this area here, and had a lot of range. And we'll get into this on a 1-minute chart, but this price leg right here is really thin. As you notice, there's really no pullback on a 1 hour. This is just a straight charge, or what I would refer to as a skinny leg. I'm a member of Pro Traders Club. Chris Laurie definitely is my mentor, and one of the things that he preaches, and one of the things that if you go back in the charts, you'll find that a lot of these skinny legs where it's just one-way traffic oftentimes get released. We had this move down and it came right back up. Is this going to happen all the time? Of course not. But when we don't have a whole lot of liquidity, meaning we don't have a whole lot of pockets, it's easy for price just to cascade almost in the same way that it did on the other side. And today, once again, we came into this area. Get rid of that. We came down into this area here, and if you notice, when we came back up around lunchtime, early afternoon, we dug right into the point of release of this down move. And when I say point of release, what I mean is the beginning of a change of direction. And oftentimes, you're going to find price will get supported at areas where there's a change of direction. Obviously, not all the time, but start looking at this on your charts, and you're going to find that if you're looking to get on pullbacks or see that there might be an area where price can stall, look at these point of releases, the beginning of a new move, and you'll find oftentimes that price will react. Now, let's get into the nuts and bolts of, once again, I want to focus on intraday trading, and today offered some really good opportunities if you were really on your P's and Q's and watching price action. Now, the market just fell off of a cliff at, I mean, it started as early as 7 a.m. Eastern, and it was pretty much just one-way traffic. And this is what I mean by a skinny leg or an inefficient leg, where we have price really moving in one direction with very little pullback, and look how price retraced it. But here is what I really want to pay attention to as far as, okay, we can know these things, But where's some trade ideas? I mean, where is a point of entry that would really make a lot of sense and give us a high probability? And that really happened in this consolidation. Now, we had already ran pretty low. Let's go back to a 15-minute chart. Price had already made a very big move, and if you notice, we have came, right up into this area here where we had a little shelf, and it did find support. Um, and price was telling us when we were looking at it on the 1 minute before the market, the New York opened officially at 9:30. We were definitely consolidating, and where we were just building support. Either this was going to break down and try to reach more for some bids lower, or this thing was finally going to release to the upside, and it did. And I want to show you kind of an area that makes a lot of sense. You see how we have all of this support building up, and then we have a tag, meaning a nice move, and look where we find support, right at this point of release. Remember, a change in direction. So we finally had a strong move. It held support, and then from there, it took off. So if you're in front of the monitors and looking for a trade entry, I don't know that there was really much of a better one than this. Now, obviously there's no guarantees. This thing could have easily have decided to just trade lower, but this is a great shelf to want to try to get long, and you have this entire area here to act as support. You got a clean reference point where to put your stop, and probably is one of the best setups of the day, at least on the long side. And obviously this thing just went to the races. Now, I had mentioned on the 15-minute that we had came into a point of release. Head back to it. Now, the problem with a lot of us who like to short, it would have been real easy to want to get in front of it into this area here. And as you can see, I mean, there was just no stopping it. It did give a level of pause here where there was a pocket of liquidity or a shelf, but then it just kept moving, blew right through this. But if you notice, once again, it came right into this point of release. Now, that's the area that I really want to focus on the short side, because if we come back to a 1 minute, let's take a look at what price action looked like in this area. And this is what we talk about with a market structure shift on the daily. Price looked like it could have been breaking down in this area. It finally made some lower lows, but it didn't last long. It reached a little bit lower, and once again got above highs, and the momentum was still bullish. We came back up, we pulled back into this shelf where it held. Once again, another strong move. We finally got some weakness where came into this shelf. It's trying to hold, came into this point of release, couldn't do it, and then we finally get a nice move down. We at this point, it's just one of these trades where this would be considered an apex base, the top, and the more you watch bases or topping action, and I would encourage anybody, if you're looking at an intraday chart, take a look at the high of the day. How did price act at that time? And if you start taking screenshots of what these topping bases look like, and the price action surrounding it, you'll start to notice, there's definitely a change in price structure. Now, keep in mind, we had already pointed out that this was at a major point of release on the 15 minute. And so when you combine that along with a market structure shift where we are finally breaking down, and you can see here, pulled into here, and then from there it just continued to trade lower for a bit. Now this is choppy. I mean, the low hanging fruit is, remember we talk about a skinny leg where price just is moving pretty clean without a whole lot of back and forth. I mean, we have some pullbacks, some shelves that were created, but for the most part, these are really inefficient legs. And look how price came running right back down into this shelf here, and from here this is choppy. And this is something that if you're trading and really trying to take the highest probability trades, when you start seeing price really doing a lot of up down, and it's just in this grinding mode, best advice is to stay away. Wait for some clean price action. Either wait for some good extensions to where you can recognize a topping apex base that you want to wait for a good pop back into, that you can maybe get short and run it back through an inefficient leg, or just stand to the sidelines. Because I've traded this kind of stuff, and I think most of us all have who have any experience with trading, trying to trade this stuff. It's extremely hard. It just doesn't make any sense, and oftentimes you're just wasting your capital, your mental capital, and it'll just end in a lot of frustration. So there were really two excellent plays today. If you were patient, once again, we had this pullback right into this base, and then from there it took off. And once again, it is retracing a very inefficient leg. What am I doing? Let's get rid of that. Retracing a very inefficient leg both ways. And then we had some really good topping action happen at an area on the 15 minute where we could identify we were at a point of release. Hopefully you got some value out of this. I hope everybody trades well tomorrow. Please, if you want to see more of these videos, I'm going to try to put these out on a consistent basis. If you have any comments, please put them down below. Like the channel. I would really appreciate it. The biggest thing for me is, I want this to be community, so I'm looking to engage with anybody who wants to engage about price. Your thoughts on the price action of today, I think that just benefits us all. So appreciate you tuning in, and good luck tomorrow.